Hello and welcome to episode number 12 of the Car Flip Show. We're going to be looking at two things in today's episode. One is how to evaluate trade-ins. Should you even take a trade-in if you're selling a car out of your driveway? Is that even something you should consider? Along with that, we're going to look at a few vehicles I recently got on trade. I think I have 4 we're going to look at. And then we're going to get under a car. I have a lot of folks asking about the basics of mechanics. We're going to get under a car and do an oil change in 3 easy steps. So if you're not familiar with that process, it'll be 3 easy steps you can definitely do on your own. So now we're going to get outside and take a look at a few of these trade-ins. The first vehicle we're going to look at that I got on a recent trade, this actually was about 3 weeks ago. This is a 2003 BMW 530i. It's a decent vehicle. It's got 162,000 miles. I was selling a 2004 Toyota 4Runner and got this on trade. I have $1,500 in this from a trade-in standpoint. So for me, part of my profit was this. I believe, we'll walk inside. This one has not been cleaned yet. We've not detailed it, I don't believe. So we may have vacuumed it. We got some of the trash out. You can see the floor is dirty. On a good day, this potentially would sell for around $4,000. That's a good day. $3,000 should be a fairly quick sale. It's a BMW. People like the looks of them. As far as the body goes, it's in pretty decent shape. We have a catalytic converter that's ordered for it. We have a check engine light. So that's part of the repair that we have to do. That was $200 plus the labor, which having a mechanic here full time, for me, that's built in. So for me, there's another $1,500 or so to make on this. So not only do I get to make the profit of having the $1,500 that I have in it, but I also get the additional $1,500 profit that's possible once it's repaired. Now, value-wise, when you're determining value, and we'll talk about this as we're going to another trade-in, determining value on these can be tricky because a lot of people think their car is worth more than it is. This being a 2003 with the miles and the condition, I usually default to Kelley Blue Book trade-in value. Now, you want to be careful there because you don't want them to necessarily base the value of your car on Kelley Blue Book because a lot of times it is a lower value. But it's great for doing trades because usually it's low enough that you can still make money on it. It usually is close to what a dealer would pay for one at auction. So you want that to be your basis, not some number that they think the car is worth. You want to be careful establishing value on your own if you're just starting out because you might misconstrue value. You might accidentally give someone too much for a vehicle. That comes out of your profit. If you don't sell the vehicle for what you think it's worth, you've lost money. So another vehicle we'll look at, this is one I only gave $500 for. This is a 1998 Ford Mustang. Actually looks like I need air in my tire here. This is nothing special. A guy bought a Trailblazer from me, a 2008 Trailblazer. Had this, he didn't need anymore. And so he didn't really care what he got for it. You can see what I'm asking for it. Probably not gonna get this much, but we just put it up there for fun. This is an easy all day long $2,000 car. It's pending sale for $1,900. I got to put some money down to hold it. So we'll see if he comes back. But this is one that I gave the guy $500 on. So instead of getting $500 cash, I allowed him $500 on this. There really isn't a way to look up the value for a 98. You can go in Kelley Blue Book. It's not really going to be accurate. $500 for me seemed fair. So this was $500. For me, that's an extra, $1,400, $1,500 profit that's possible. And I don't have to go out and actually look for a vehicle to buy. It's a quick transaction, and we got another vehicle on the lot. Anything that runs, drives, AC works, it's decent, it's worth $2,000. You really can't be worth less than that. You want to be careful on a vehicle this age that doesn't have any major mechanical issues. You could definitely get yourself into trouble if someone hasn't done the maintenance. But we looked it over ahead of time, so there's a good $1,500 profit left on this one that we got on the trade side. So now we're gonna go look at another one. This is really more of a dealer type trade, but I'm gonna give you an idea what that looks like on my end when somebody owes money on a car. So we're gonna go over and take a look at that one. This is a vehicle that someone owed money on, which I can do as a dealer, and sometimes it's more difficult on the private level to do. But basically, a guy came in to purchase a vehicle, 2006 Chevrolet Trailblazer. Actually, one a few episodes ago we mentioned that I hoped I was gonna get around $5,500 for. Unfortunately, I only got 5, so I didn't get what I thought, but we did get a trade. He owed $5,000 on this though, which makes it a bit difficult of a deal to accomplish because he owed more than I could give him. I told him I could give him $2,500, which really was stretching it a little. I ideally wouldn't want to have $2,500 in a 2005 Chrysler 300 with 170,000 miles. It's nice. It's got good wheels. It's got the tires on them are good. It's leather interior. We'll look at the inside. That's fun. All part of flipping cars. Every now and then you gotta have an alarm go off. So definitely we're not staging this. So basically on the inside, you got leather. You actually got my breakfast laying there. I had a good breakfast bar this morning. It's wonderful. We haven't cleaned this one yet, so a lot of this mess is just stuff he left in here. So it's leather, it's nice, but he owed $5,000 on this. So what had to happen was I was asking $5,000 on my vehicle. We had to finance in part of his with a loan with a local credit union. Luckily, our vehicle booked out over $8,000. This 06 Trailblazer with 133,000 miles booked for $8,200. So what I told him we'd do is we would, to the bank, they had capped them out. They said you can only spend $7,500. That's if you pay off this current vehicle, which was financed with them as well. So we had to pay off the first vehicle being this $300, then they could finance $7,500. So I wrote him up a bill of sale for this being the trade-in. So I said we were gonna pay that off, and then I bumped up the Trailblazer $2,500. So we bumped that up to $7,500. So the bank financed an additional $2,500, which went towards paying this off, which means I paid $2,500 out of my pocket to pay this off. So this is completely paid off. He bought the vehicle, which I made roughly, and I'm trying to remember my numbers, I had just under $3,000 in it. So roughly my vehicle was completely paid for and I'm left with this. So I didn't make any cash, but I have this, and so this is gonna be my profit. So the way that type of deal works, when you don't make any money, but you end up with another car, is you end up with a double profit. So what'll happen on this, when I sell this, and I'm just ballparking on this, on a good day, on a really, really good day, this goes for $5,000, $6,000. I'm thinking I'm gonna get $4,500 for it. So for me, instead of making the $2,000 on the Trailblazer, I'm gonna make $4,000 on this. I might make more, I don't wanna overshoot it, so that's kinda how this profit will work. I don't have any cash in my pocket. I did sell a vehicle, I got my money back, but now I'm gonna make the profit twice as much on this because this is my entire profit sitting behind me in this Chrysler 300. We're gonna go look at one more. This one being an even trade. I bought a car, traded it even for another car, and why you might would wanna do that. So we'll go take a look at that inside right now. This next car is one that I actually traded even. So I bought a car, traded this car completely even for what I purchased. And so you can take a look at it, it's a 2008 Ford Mustang. It looks a lot faster than it is. It's a V6, so it's not a V8. It's got the stickers, decals, like a GT, that kind of thing. 2008, 130,000 miles. I traded this for a 1986 Pontiac Fiero, actually. I bought the Fiero for $500. I didn't really want to buy the Fiero, but I had a fella at my church that had had it forever. He and his son bought it as a restoration project. They had rebuilt the engine completely, redid the interior, actually put a brand new paint job on it. It was red. Nice looking car. There's just not a big market for Pontiac Fieros, so I'd actually had it on the lot for him, trying to sell it for a while. Had no interest whatsoever. A few people here and there, but I mean, just nothing serious. So he took it back home, parked it, and then called me about a year later and said, "Hey, would you be at all interested in purchasing it?" And I kind of said no. And he said, "Really?" He's like, "I'll take anything." And so he didn't need the money. It was his son's car. His son, titled it in his name and given it to his dad and said, "Dad, I'll pay the taxes and everything." Dad wasn't driving it, so his son was tired of just handling it, paying the insurance. Little things kept popping up they had to fix. So he said, "Look, I just want it out of my name. Whatever you'll give me, whatever, I don't care." And so I said, "I'll do $500, we'll see what happens, and I'll just put it out on my lot." So long story short, I paid him $500 for the car. I brought it in, it needed a battery. We replaced the battery. It actually stalled on me riding here from his house, so I broke down in traffic, ended up being the battery. So we get to the lot, put it up for sale. Within a few weeks, I had a guy that seemed pretty serious, came by, drove up in this and said, "What do you think about a trade?" And so I said, "Well, let me look up the values, see what's going on." It checked out, it's clean title. His son had, for whatever reason, drifted this car. I don't know why you do that in a 6-cylinder Mustang, but so there's a few brake issues we're still working on. Interior was a little dirty. Overall, it was in good shape though. So we did an even trade. I gave him my title, he gave me his, signed everything over. And so now, instead of my profit margin on that 1986 Fiero being maybe $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 at best, this car on a really good day would sell for, right at $6,000, $4,500 to $5,000 easy. So instead of my $2,000 profit margin, I've gone to a $4,000 profit margin. So that's where an even trade can make sense. If you have a certain vehicle, someone offers a trade and that vehicle is worth more, it's something that might interest you. Now, if you need the cash, maybe not. For me, I had the time to wait. Another thing you want to be careful with is doing an even trade like this. This required some mechanical work, which can be costly. So you want to be careful that someone's not trading you a problem. Every now and then someone will, have an issue with a vehicle, want to get rid of it, decide to trade it, and just hand that problem over to somebody else. So if you get a vehicle, it's good to check the readiness monitors to make sure they've not cleared the codes. If they clear a check engine light, the readiness monitors then reset. So you'll have 4 or 5, 3, 4, 5 different readiness monitors where the car hasn't reset. There'll be maybe issues you need to listen for from a drivability standpoint. Check the brakes, look under it, make sure it's not rusted. Check the title, make sure it's not salvaged. Make sure you're not getting someone else's problem. But from time to time, it does make sense to actually do an even trade. I don't do a lot of them. This is the only one I've done this year, but it made sense because my profit margin doubled. And so that's when it can make sense. Won't happen a lot, but it's always an option. Just make sure you don't get burnt by getting someone else's problem and giving them a good car. So even trades are possible. It's just a matter of what you have versus what they have. Now we're going to take a look under a vehicle and do some general maintenance. This is a very common thing that a lot of people pay to have done, but you can definitely do it yourself in your driveway. We're going to look at how to do an oil change in 3 easy steps by lifting it, draining it, and filling it. As you can see that the car is above me, obviously I am on a lift. So we're going to look really quickly where you should lift your car from and then where you should not lift your car from. So we're going to pan the camera up. What you're going to see here is the lift supported on the frame crimp here of the vehicle. So on this Honda Accord, there's actually, and it's probably hard to see, there's a little section here that's separated that it says we should lift our vehicle from, which is right where we're on. Anywhere on this crimped portion here would be fine. When you support the vehicle, if you can see, we want a wide stance if you're using a lift. You don't want to support too close, then you could tip over. But we want it to be wide, we want to support it here. A place that you don't want to lift. You don't want to lift here. This is plastic. You don't want to come too far in. On some vehicles, there's a frame. If you were to think about like an SUV or a pickup truck, you'll have a frame running under the car. So you could definitely lift on that frame, which is not here. You would not want to lift here. You would not want to lift in an area like this. You've got suspension components here in the rear. You don't want to necessarily lift on this. Worst case scenario, you could, but I would advise you not to. You don't want to lift on anything exhaust related. Up under here is our fuel tank. You don't want to lift on a fuel tank. Ideally, if there was a rear differential back here, you would not want to lift on that. You want to lift where the vehicle recommends you to lift from, which in this case, for this Honda Accord, it gives us a cutout, which you can't see, which we're going to lift it right here. If you are not using lift, which most of you probably are not, we're going to come over and take a look at what you'll be using. What you see right here is a standard pump jack. You probably have something similar to this already. If you don't, they're very easy to acquire. We'll put a link to one on Amazon. That is a good one that would be very useful for you. So this here obviously is very simple to use. We're going to pump. It's going to go up, lift and support the vehicle. This here is a jack stand. If you were to lift and wanted to do both sides, you obviously can only lift one side at a time with this. This would then go in place, such as this. And when you lower this, the car would lower onto this jack stand, allowing you to go to the other side and lift the other side separately. Other things that are not necessary but are nice to have is something like this. This is what they call a creeper. You would be able to roll under the vehicle if you're not lifted, and you can see what you're doing that way. And for me, I like this so I don't mess up my knees. I'm out in the shop a lot. When I'm getting on the ground or working on things, this is for me. Have my knees on so I'm not an old man complaining about having bad knees. So that's that. That is lifting and supporting the vehicle. Be very careful, because what you don't want to happen is something like this. You don't want the car to fall on you. You don't want to, if you're working on someone else's car, to have to buy them something to replace something you broke. So it's very simple to raise and support it. If you have a question about where to lift your vehicle, don't miss the obvious. Go to Google. Where to lift, for example, on this one, a 2009 Honda Accord, lift points, where to lift from, and then put in your vehicle. You'll find a lot of people having write-ups on where to lift those particular vehicles. It's usually pretty straightforward. This one's very obvious into where you're supposed to lift it, which is right in this area. Avoid anything that does not look sturdy or stable. Try not to lift on suspension points. Obviously stay away from exhaust. Don't lift it from the engine. If you'll come up front here, this is the engine, this is the transmission. Don't lift from these points. The last thing you want to do is crack a transmission or a engine pan. That's more money out of your pocket. So now we're going to get into step number 2, which is drain it. Right here is our oil drain plug. Tools that you're going to need is just a simple wrench. So we're just going to take this, we're going to turn it. And now we're going to get our catch in position. This is something you will need as well, an oil catch. I have this, which is a pretty big setup. We can catch, I believe, I don't know if it's 5-7 gallons. It catches a lot. Then we pump this out into another container. You may need one similar to this. Basically, you need something to drain your oil into. Don't be draining it out in your front yard or in your driveway. You're just going to make a mess. Catch it. A lot of places like Advanced Auto Parts will take your oil for free. You can turn it in and you're done there. So we're going to take this. We're going to set it up to catch our oil. Once you've loosened that nut, generally you can just take it off. It's just finger tight. From there, do not lay directly under this. That should be pretty obvious. It's going to drain. You don't want to drip on you. That's why it's nice to have a lift, but if you don't, just stay clear. We're going to see that drain. To save time, I'm actually going to go ahead. The next thing you're going to be removing is the oil filter. Now, every vehicle has a different location as to where the oil filter is placed. Some will be close, easy to get to. Some will be on the sides, some will be on the front. This one, luckily, is very easy to find. You're going to look for something just like this unless your vehicle has a canister oil filter. If you're not sure which one yours has, pull up on Advanced Auto Parts, put in your vehicle, make, model, engine, and see what type of oil filter is listed. If you have a canister oil filter, it's going to look, it's going to be like a paper type design. It's going to be basically what the insides of this are. And so you're going to know you're going to need to look for something separate than this. Most vehicles have this type of filter. It's generally just as easy as taking it and turning it. These are supposed to be put on hand tight. Some mechanics get a little, I guess, afraid that they didn't put it on tight enough, and they're going to ratchet it down too tight. If you ever get to one that is too tight for you to remove, you may need a tool such as this. This is an oil filter remover. Basically latches on and gives you the ability to turn it such as that. If it's hard to get one up in there, you can use one of these. This is a oil filter pliers. They would fit on such as that. You can adjust them to where you need them to be. Most will be hand tight, which means just like I'm doing right now, you'll be able to drain them. Oil will begin to pour off of this when it gets loose, so I usually like to turn it, let it drain for a minute, and then you're just going to get it the rest of the way. You're going to get a little dirty, so we'll get this off. Obviously pretty slippery because you're covered in oil. So this and we're off. One thing you want to be careful with once you remove this is to make sure the rubber seal is still on the old filter, and be sure it's not stuck to this mounting piece here. Sometimes if this gets stuck, this is a removable gasket which could stay, and I'm gonna pull it off so I can show you what I'm talking about. This is what you want to make sure is not stuck to this metal rim, because if you apply another oil filter with 2 pieces of rubber, you're going to get a pretty bad leak. A great idea when you're doing your oil change is to go ahead and pop the hood before you get to this point where you're going to raise it. After an oil change, your hands will be dirty. You're going to have oil on them, so you don't want to be reaching inside your car. So go ahead and pop the hood ahead of time. I have it popped. We're going to lift it up here. Filling a vehicle with oil is usually very simple. There's going to be a cap, which is right where we're going to fill it. It's also going to tell us the type of oil that we need generally. This is a 5W20 oil change. So I will be taking this funnel, sticking it in the top here. Now the type of oil we're using comes in a 5-gallon container. We drain it out of that container into this. This is an old Mobil 1 container, but we have measurements on the side, 1, 2, 3, 4 quarts, and above here is the rest. So we're going to be filling this with 4.5 quarts of oil. All right, that is our 4.5 quarts of oil poured into the engine. You want to make sure you remove your funnel before you start it. Put the cap back on. One thing you want to do is to double check to make sure the level is full before we actually check our stick here. We're going to start the vehicle. We're going to let the oil circulate for about 5 seconds. The reason we want to let that oil circulate is so that it will fill up the oil filter itself. So this will give us an accurate reading. You do want to check your oil with the car off. Bring this out. And I might add an extra 0.1 quart and then we'll be good. And that's how you do an oil change in 3 simple steps. Raise it, drain it, fill it. So that's how you do an oil change. It's really pretty straightforward. Repairs like that can definitely help save you money down the road, from doing simple repairs like an oil change, to brakes, to doing tune-ups. These are things we're going to get into a lot more depth in the upcoming car flipping course. So if you're interested in something like that, definitely head over to thecarflip.com, put in your email address. We'll be sending out more information about that later. But basic repairs, basic maintenance, those things can definitely save you money and increase your profit margin if you can do those at home. Also on the trade-in side, don't turn down people with trade-ins, because a lot of people are just wanting to get out of a vehicle. They don't want to take the time to sell it themselves, so there can be extra profit for you to gain if you are interested and can do those trades. You don't have to do them. Sometimes cash is definitely best, but a trade-in can definitely be a way to gain extra profit in a deal. So increasing your profit, or sometimes doubling it like we talked about on certain vehicles. Maybe you don't make the money up front, but there is money to be gained by being involved in a trade. So be careful on those. Don't get someone else's problem, but there's definitely extra money to be made on the trade-in side. That's all for this episode. I'll see you in the next one.